Hello, my name is Brian Petruska, and this is Kyle Delgado, and today we'll be asking questions on Native Americans. So, Kyle, can you think of any Native American stereotypes off the top of your head?
Yeah, the typical Indian savage kind of powwow dancing around, not really civilized, redskin. Like if you watch football, you've seen like the logos and like the mascots. So typical kind of like savage, not civilized people, which is false because obviously, but yeah.
Okay. So, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about Native Americans in the media?
A lot of times they're protesting. When I see them, they're kind of fighting for like their land or reparations or things like that. They're kind of just trying to get their culture and like their rights to be noticed by the government.
Okay. And do you think Christopher Columbus was a hero or a villain?
I don't think he was a hero, to be honest. The things that I know he like brought disease over on purpose and killed off a lot of people. He kind of took people as slaves back to Europe. Um, and he wasn't even looking to go to America. He found here by accident. So I don't really consider him a hero. I think what he did was kind of messed up, to be honest. So.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Hey, closing out.
How's it going? My name is Christian Dowhung, and I will be discussing how Native Americans are portrayed in the media. Joining with me is Christopher Alfaro. I'll be asking him a couple questions on his perspective of how Native Americans are portrayed in the media. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
So the first question is, off the top of your head, what are some Native American stereotypes?
Some stereotypes I could think of are, like they got the feather cap around their head, or like they have red skin, and they smoke a lot of tobacco. That's about it.
Word. And so regarding the NFL team, the Washington Redskins, how do you feel about that name? Do you like it? If you could rename it, what would it be?
It hasn't really ever affected me as a American citizen. I know it has started some controversy over the past couple of years recently. Whether the NFL is gonna whether they're gonna change it is gonna be up to the organizations. If I were to rename it, I don't really know. Couldn't really give you any suggestions, really.
That's cool. And what do you think about Christopher Columbus? Was he a hero or was he a villain?
In my eyes, he's always been portrayed as a hero because, he came here and, settled and, basically established, a European civilization over here. But there are definitely some other interpretations that you can take, whether or not that he pushed out all the Indians or the Native Americans that were originally here and massacred a lot of them.
All right. And I think that's all I have. How's it going? I'll be asking the same questions that I asked my last interviewee regarding how Native Americans are portrayed in the media. So first question again, what are the first things that come to mind when thinking about Native American stereotypes?
Like Chris said, feathers on the head, casinos, Foxwoods all the time, stuff like that.
So regarding, same question as him, regarding the NFL team, the Washington Redskins, how do you feel about it? If you could rename them, what would it be?
Honestly, it really hasn't affected me. There's a lot of NFL teams and MLB teams that are similar, but like animals, so I don't see it as really offensive. I wouldn't change the name, honestly.
Okay. What do you think about Christopher Columbus? Was he a hero or was he a villain?
I honestly think he was a hero. We obviously wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. A lot of people portray him as a villain, but I don't think so.
Hi, my name is Norellis, and I'm going to be interviewing
Emily.
about Native Americans. Can you think of any Native American stereotypes?
Probably Pocahontas and red skin and I don't know, the feather headdresses and stuff like that.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Native Americans in the media?
Probably like sports teams. A lot of like high school sports teams are named after like I think there are like that's why I said Redskins or like I don't know, like the high school next to my high school was called the Braves. So there's a lot of Native American, like there's a lot of like sports teams named after like Native American tribes, or like that's what they're supposed to be. A lot of people think it's like offensive, so I don't really know, but that's like the first thing that comes to mind when media, and like also like Pocahontas too.
And when you think of Christopher Columbus, do you think he's a hero or a villain?
I guess it depends. I mean, what he did wasn't ethically right, but I feel like we wouldn't be in American society, like how America is today, and all we've come without him there. So obviously, what he did, and he killed all the a lot of the Native Americans, and that wasn't right. But I don't know. It's just it's a weird subject, I guess.
Thank you. Can you think of any Native American stereotypes off the top of your head?
Stereotypes?
Yeah.
So, like, feathered headdress, if that makes sense. I don't want to sound, like, rude in any way. Okay, so, like, the feather headdress, braids, I don't know, like, how people say, like, Western medications. Those are a few that I can think of.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Native Americans in the media?
In the media? Well, I remember someone did a project a while ago and showed me a couple actresses that were actually Native American, like, what's her name? Vanessa Hudgens and Megan Fox both were there. Oh, louder, sorry.
Do you think Christopher Columbus was a hero or a villain?
From what I've learned over the years, I think he was a villain for, 'cause he actually did commit genocide, so that was not good.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Leighton, and this is Rob, and I'm going to be asking him questions on Native Americans in the media. So, Rob, can you think of any Native American stereotypes off the top of your head?
I'd say the typical redskin. I guess the calling of Native Americans as redskins. That's the only thing that comes to my head.
Awesome. So then, regarding the NFL team, the Washington Redskins, do you have any feelings towards their name? Would you change their name if you could?
I'm not personally offended, but if the Native Americans are truly offended by it and they feel that it's racist towards their people, to what their heritage is, and they have a really big problem with it, then I would have no problem changing it. Have no problem having it be changed. Really, it's not my decision. Because I'm not part of their heritage, so I have no opinion on whether it doesn't offend me. But if it offends a group of people, then I think we should try and make it more, I guess, unoffending.
Yeah. And lastly, do you think Christopher Columbus was a hero or a villain?
I guess in the beginning, when he found the new land, he was a hero. But what he did with their land, what he did with the Native Americans, he became a villain because he did not treat them properly. He gave them, as you know, they gave them several diseases. They killed many of them. So definitely in the beginning, he became a hero. Obviously this land would have been founded anyway. It's a pretty big piece of land, but the way he treated the Native Americans, what he did with them, the way they killed so many of them, in the end, I believe he becomes a villain.
Awesome. Cool. Hey, I'm Leighton, and I'm with Robbie, and we're going to answer some questions about Native Americans in the media. So can you think of any Native American stereotypes off the top of your head?
Basically, like Rob said, the only one that came to mind really for me was the Redskins one. The Washington Redskins football team's obviously been a huge controversy, and then just that name in general has always popped up.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Native Americans in the media?
Just improper treatment. How we treat them isn't usually the best, and we like take a lot of their land to build things that to us seem important, but in reality for like their heritage and like what that land means to them, it's not really that important.
Cool. And you mentioned the Washington Redskins. If you could rename that team, would you? Does it affect you in any way?
Personally, like in my personal opinion, it doesn't affect me, but like if it offends a specific amount of people and quite a few people, I think it should be changed, because in reality, like someone's heritage and race is a lot more important than football. So one name isn't like a name change isn't going to make a difference. It's not like it's even that great of a team anyway, so I don't think it matters, but that's just my opinion on it.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Hello, my name is Brandon Petruska, and this is Jordan here, and we're going to be talking about Native Americans in the media. Okay, so can you think of any Native American stereotypes off the top of your head?
When I was younger, I used to be really into the whole cowboys and Indians, like TV shows and westerns like that. And really, the main kind of stereotype I saw portrayed with Native Americans was, there's like the wild, savage guy that can't be trusted. He's almost like completely feral, and they just keep bringing up the same themes, like scalping, like just chanting at the top of their lungs, like constantly screaming, and just like tomahawks and things like that. And I thought that really wasn't a good portrayal. Because some of my friends are Native American, and I mean, they're obviously not as they're portrayed.
All right, perfect. Okay, so what is the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about Native Americans in the media?
In the media, like just recently with the whole oil line, I really wasn't too up to date on that, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind, and most recently, what's been in the media in concerns with Native Americans, and having people wanting respect for what they consider their sacred lands, and us just wanting to industrialize and kind of disregarding that. But I mean, I think that's kind of wrong. If it's their land, then that's their land, and we should find other solutions around it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, do you think Christopher Columbus was a hero or a villain?
I think growing up, we're all taught Christopher Columbus discovered America, good for him. But I really also think that that's also an important part of American history. But teachers obviously aren't gonna tell 10-year-olds about the genocide and horrible things that came into play with that. So I really don't think he's a hero. I mean, he says he discovered America, but there were already obviously people here, so he was just kind of the mainstreamed guy to kind of bring to light that there is land here and that people can inhabit it, but I really don't consider him a hero. After reading some of the facts and obviously history, things that he brought.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, hello, my name is Brandon, and this is Brian, and today we'll be talking about Native Americans in the American media. Okay, so off the top of your head, do you know of any Native American stereotypes?
I guess it seems like a lot of the really bad ones, like Native Americans being savage. That's kind of past, thankfully, but I think there are still a lot of them out there. People think that they are casino rich, or in that regard, or they live off the land, or they're overtly spiritual. So unfortunately, those are still out there. Yeah.
Okay, so how are Native Americans portrayed in America media?
It depends. I'd say sometimes you could argue they're portrayed negatively. I can't think of any specific examples, but I can see a lot of stereotypes where the only Native American in the show is literally a chief of some sort with long hair and a big hulking physique, which isn't necessarily a true portrayal of it, but I mean, that's one example. I think that some of them are more positive, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last question. Do you think Christopher Columbus is a hero or a villain?
It depends on what time period you're viewing him in. I guess back then he would have been a hero, but obviously by today's standards, he's a villain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How's it going? My name is Christian Dowhung, and this is
Leo.
And we'll be I'll be asking him some questions regarding Native Americans in the media. So my first question is, what are some Native American stereotypes you can think of off the top of your head?
That they own casinos, and they're referred to as Indians.
Okay, that's fine. As far as American media goes, how do you think Native Americans are portrayed?
They're usually portrayed as the bad guy because they have cowboys versus Indians in movies, and
are you an NFL fan? Do you like football? Yeah. Okay, so you know about the team, the Washington Redskins?
Yep.
All right, so yeah, so how do you feel about that team name? if you could change it, what would you, and what would it be?
I don't know what I would change it to, but it's something that they should definitely look into changing it because it is offensive.
And my last question is, Christopher Columbus, I'm sure you're aware about his history. Do you think he was a villain or a hero?
I think it was definitely a villain. He's portrayed as a hero, and we even have like a holiday after him, but he's definitely more of a villain.
What makes you think that?
Well, like from what I've like heard that when he came to colonize like the Americas, they like raped and killed a lot of like Native Americans here, like burned their villages and things like that.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.